Good evening to one and all. Good afternoon to one and all. I'm going to do a walk to St. John Parish Church from Clifton Hall, St. John. As I said, I greeted you with a rainy good evening. So this road will lead you back down to Martins Bay, Newcastle, Glenburnie, and most of all, Church View, St. John, which is just beneath St. John Parish Church. The name Church View is because when you go out to the church from the north side of the church, I think, yes, north side, you can see straight across to the north. You can see straight down into Church View, which is just below here. So that's how the name Church View came about. Yes guys, the rain is falling and the show still has to go on. I have my shelter with the umbrella. So this is Clifton Hall, St. John. Back to Venture, Sherborne, Clearberry, Hackett's Cliff, all in St. John. You can see all these buildings here. And back to Clifton Hall, St. John. This is where the St. John Parish Church, where St. John Primary School, and back to Gall Hill. You can get to Gall Hill from this way too. Gall Hill, St. John, you can get it from this way. So as they reach the rain start to fall. I need not to worry because I have my umbrella on with me. As I said before, the show has to go on whether the rain fall or the sunshine. So this is the rainy walk around St. John Parish Church in Barbados. Now reaching the church. Looking back down, church view. Well, this area is called Glebland. So now reach the church. St. John Parish Church. This is where back to the cemetery and the primary school. The rain is falling. So this is St. John's Parish Church. And the rectory next door. It says St. John's Parish Church. This beautiful church is on the site of the earliest wooden church of 1645. The first stone church was built in 1660 for 110,000 pounds of sugar. It was badly damaged in the hurricane of 1675 and rebuilt in 1676-77. This church was badly damaged in the hurricane of 1780, restored and destroyed in the 1831 hurricane. The present church was completed in 1836. The present and fourth church was completed in 1836, and the chancel was added in 1876. Its pure Gothic design was influenced by Bishop William Hart Coleridge, first Anglican bishop. The vestry hall above was the meeting place of the parish vestry, comprising elected landowners, which ran the affairs of the parish until 1959. It is named for church patriarchs Mr. Eustace Gill and Mr. Thorne Gollop. So this is the gift shop here for the church. It says this plaque is erected by the Church Council and Congregation of St. John's Parish Church in appreciation for the outstanding and dedicated service rendered by Eustace C. Gill, Justice of the Peace, and Ethan Gollop on the 27th of December, 1992. So this is the church here, St. John Parish Church. I will take a walk in the church now. This beautiful Gothic church. Afternoon. Yes, guys, I'm inside of the Gothic, beautiful St. John Parish Church. I'm in the church now. It's rainy Tuesday afternoon. I'm inside of St. John Parish Church, one of the most beautiful churches on the island. Inside and out, and one of the two most beautiful churches that offers fantastic views of the East Coast as well. This is the stained glass window here, and the beautiful Barbados behind the altar. So this is where the choir sits. The Barbados behind the altar. And you can see the beautiful stained glass windows. This is the mahogany pulpit here. The pulpit, the wooden pulpit, made out of 6 different types of wood. There is cedar, pine, mahogany. That's 3 that I can remember right now. But it is 6 different types of wood that this pulpit was made from. You can see the organ loft upstairs here in the western gallery. And the organ here. So I'm at the beautiful St. John's Parish Church. St. John's Parish Church is Gothic. Let me read some of the memorials. First of all, this church is, the parish of St. John is known to be the parish that most of the white Barbadians originated from. The white Barbadian population whose ancestry originated in Scotland, Ireland, and Europe. Their ancestry began in Scotland, Ireland, and Europe, and then they came to Barbados as indentured servants back in the 1700s and 1800s. And they were placed at Martin's Bay in St. John, in a place called Zore's Land, and they were also placed under Hackerton's Cliff, which is also in St. John. So the most noted white Barbadians are Sir Kiffin Simpson, the guy who owns Simpson Motors, which is now HK, which is the agents for Suzuki vehicles in Barbados. They also specialize in Isuzu, Chevrolet, Mercedes-Benz, and now Mitsubishi vehicles. And Simpson also owns the Salt gas stations in Barbados and in the Caribbean. Simpson is one of the white Barbadians who originated in Cherry Grove, St. John, as well as Professor Henry Fraser, who was a doctor and a lecturer at university. His mother and father's tablet is engraved in this church on the walls. I will get to that shortly. Also, the Goddards, that owns the Goddard group of companies, like Courtesy Garage, which is the agents for Nissan and Hyundai vehicles in Barbados, and many more businesses that they own. As well as Pastor Emeritus Holmes Williams from the People's Cathedral. He is also a white Barbadian who originated from St. John. And also Cole Williams, known as Sir Charles Othniel Williams, he and his brother Ralph Busy Williams are well-known entrepreneurs in Barbados. They are white Barbadians as well. C.O. Williams Construction Company belongs to Charles Othniel Williams, as well as Port St. Charles and others. And they also have a few other poor whites in the parish, especially further down in Martin's Bay, which we refer to as poor whites or Quebecese. Now to get to this point now, this tablet is erected to the memory of Edmund Haynes, Esquire, Lay of Haynesfield in this parish, who died at Cheltenham in the Kingdom of Great Britain in the 66th year of his age. It is designed to commemorate his Christian erections and magnificent contributions in the re-erection of this sanctuary after the destruction of the former one in the hurricane of 1831. And it is inscribed with grateful and affectionate feelings by the rector and vestry of his native parish as a memorial succeeding generations, so long as his temple shall have a name and a place amongst them, of the obligations they owe to him for his work of love to God and man. So the Haynes family are the ones who were responsible for the rebuilding of this church. And Adam Straw Waterman is the one who built this church. Adam Straw Waterman, who was laid to rest in St. George Churchyard. This is in memory of the Haynes family, Joseph Allen Haynes of Newcastle Plantation in St. John, born the 1st of November 1820 and died the 1st of July 1894. His wife Margaret Ann Haynes, which St. Margaret's Church down the hill in Martins Bay, St. John, is named after, is also here, born the 5th of July 1828 and died the 14th of February 1917. And their children, the Honorable Richard Haynes, Colonel Allen Haynes, Jane Charlotte Haynes, Arthur Percy Haynes, and Helen Margaret Threadgold. The rain has eased up now. Like I said, the rain or sun can't stop. Show must go on. In memory of Robert Stuart Fraser. Robert Stuart Fraser, born the 15th of October 1903, and he died on the 16th of April 1993, parochial treasurer of this parish from 1944 to 1959, and his wife Lorraine Mitchinson Fraser, born the 17th of July 1911 and died the 26th of October 1994, postmistress of this parish from 1941 to 1960. To love is to serve. Robert Stuart Fraser and Lauren Mitchinson Fraser were the grandparents of Professor Henry Fraser. This is the organ console over here. So looking back at the chancel one more time, where the altar is and the choir sits up in here. The organ pipes, the pipes for the organ, the western gallery. It was said that Ferdinando Paleologos was buried under the organ loft in this church before being placed outside. This is the marble baptismal font and the spiral staircase to take you upstairs. The spiral staircase. Some stones are under our feet as well. Here lieth interred the body of Mr. Richard Hannis, born of the 5th of November 1667 and died the 19th of May 1752 as alpha of his daughter Elizabeth Hannis, born the 17th of January 1729 and died the 17th of February 1733. Statue of Madonna and Child with the infant St. John beneath her feet. Spiral staircase to take you upstairs. So now the view of the east coast from here, northeasterly. So this is church view, St. John, that I was telling you about. The sun has now subsided. The view of church view, St. John. So St. John Parish Church is situated on a cliff. This is church view, St. John, that we are looking into now. This is just below Clifton Hall where I started the video. So this is northeasterly that we are looking at now. northeasterly, where we can see the Scotland district of Barbados, which is parishes of St. Andrew and St. Joseph. You can see Bathsheba from here, Bathsheba, St. Joseph, which is also on the east coast. Bathsheba, um, mm, Bathsheba, Catawash, and we can see all across the Barclays Park Beach, all on the east coast between St. Joseph and St. Andrew. We can see all the Scotland district, Chalky Mount St. Andrew and so on, we can see from here. So this church sits on a cliff. The sun is now coming back out. That was an interesting walk. This church is more Gothic rather than being a Georgian church. And it has buttresses on either side. So I'm not going through the churchyard now, this historic churchyard. Buttresses on either side to keep it up. The grave of Joseph Briggs Mears. The family burying place of Joseph Briggs Mears, a native of this island and for more than 40 years. A resident in the colony of British Guyana. I am to be gathered unto my people. Bury me with my fathers. So, the magnificent St. John Parish Church. By the way, I am a part of the Mears family. My mother is a Mears. My mother is a Mears because her father was a Mears. So my grandmother married to a Mears. My mother is a Mears from St. Joseph in Branchbury. My mother originated from Branchbury, St. Joseph. Most of the Mearses originated in St. Joseph, St. John, and a bit of St. Thomas as well. But nevertheless, most of them connected. St. Joseph and St. John Mearses, most of them are related to me. Most of the Mears from St. John are from Martins Bay and Glenburnie and that side. So the grave of Samuel Lewis Mears. First of all, let me go into more detail about my Mears family. My mother, one of my aunts, and two uncles are Mearses from Branchbury, St. Joseph. My grandmother was a Levine first from St. Thomas at Carrington's village, St. Thomas, behind the Welsh mahogany. But then she married to a Mears in St. Joseph and moved to St. Joseph in the 1950s. So my first two aunts are Levines. They are from St. Thomas in Carrington's village, but all the rest are Mearses from St. Joseph. The grave of Samuel Lewis Mears, born 1834 and died in 1922. By grace are you saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is the gift of God. Ephesians 11 verse 8. So they don't bury people in this churchyard anymore, except it is a boy grave. Only if it is a boy grave that they will bury people in here. Other than that, they don't put down people in here anymore. This is the grave of former horticulturist, Irish Branch Bannocky. Her grandmother, Ivy Branch Bradshaw, is also laid to rest here. Irish Branch Bannocky, Silver Crown of Merit. She was born in 1914 in British Guyana. She was a Portuguese Guyanese, but she lived in Barbados. She married a Bailey Harry Bailey from the Harry Bailey Observatory was her husband. That's what the Harry Bailey Observatory in Clapham was named after. She later married a Banachie from Scotland. Iris Banachie was the founder of Andromeda Botanical Gardens, which is at Bathsheba, St. Joseph, on the east coast. Iris Branch Banachie founded Andromeda Gardens in St. Joseph in the 1950s. When she passed away in 1988, it was entrusted to the Barbados National Trust, which it still is today. So only plantation owners in St. John and planter class families are buried here. This is the color section. The color planter class are laid to rest. Robert Skinner, he would have been 19 years when he died. Born 1972, died 1992. The 12th of March, the 2nd of December, 1972, and died the 30th of September 1992. He would have been 19 years at the time. Richard E. Chase, Alice G. Chase, Stanley Skinner, and Doris Skinner. E. Thorne Gollop is buried here. He would have been the grandfather of Ralph Thorne, who is the current leader of the opposition, Ralph Thorne. And he was also the grandfather of Sir Fred Gollop as well. In memory of Ivan Wilfred Weeks and Winifred Ursula Weeks. So the sun is back out shining brightly again. The grave of Reverend Canon Eric Llewellyn Payne, born the 25th of March 1924 and died the 23rd of September 2021. He was rector of St. John from January 20th, 1968 to March 31st, 1989. So this is the colored section with the colored family, the colored planter class that own plantations in St. John are laid to rest. In loving memory of Eustace C. Gill, husband of Marie Gill, born 1903 and died in 1993. And Bernard Leslie Barrow, who was related to Errol Walton Barrow, who was our first Prime Minister, father of independence, and a former representative for St. John, was laid to rest. He was related to Errol Barrow, so Bernard Leslie Barrow is laid to rest here in St. John's Churchyard, died the 23rd of April 1962 at age 88. And Ambrosine A. Barrow and daughter Ada C. Bridgman laid to rest here as well. Charles Miller Austin was the first black man to own a plantation in St. John. He owned Malvern Plantation in St. John. He was born on the 26th of May 1857 and died the 11th of August 1942. And his wife Martha, born the 16th of September 1862 and died the 22nd of November 1948. And in loving memory of Henry Noel St. John, the grandfather of the father of Sahara Bernard St. John, also laid to rest here. So this is a very historic churchyard. This churchyard has the graves dating back from the 16th century, from back in the 16th, 17th century. Here lieth the body of Ferdinando Palaeologus, descended from the emperor line of the last Christian emperors of Greece. Churchwarden of this parish from 1655 to 1656. Vestryman 20 years, died the 3rd of October 1678. So some more, the Haynes family, Mary Howell Haynes of Newcastle, St. John, Newcastle Plantation. She was the last of her family members to be buried, to die, died the 22nd of July 1957 at the age of 97 years. In loving memory of the Honorable Richard Haynes of Easy Hall Plantation, St. John, eldest son of the Honorable J.A. Haynes of Newcastle Plantation, St. John, as well, and he died on the 8th of May 1937 at the age of 81 years. The whole view of the East Coast. The grave of Thomas Henry Seeley. Thomas Henry Seeley was buried upright. He said he wanted to be buried upright so that he can enjoy the view. In memory of Thomas Henry Seeley, son of Sir John Seeley and Anne Isabella Seeley, born the 14th of January 1845 and died the 20th of June 1904. The Carter family grave here. So most people know in St. John now have to be buried on the opposite side of the road now, since the cemetery in this churchyard is filled. So more of the Haynes family buried here. And the sundial here. Looking over to the East Coast, southeasterly now. This is Pothouse Village behind here, and this is the East Coast, southeasterly, where you can see St. John and St. Philip. You can see down to Bath Beach and St. John down here, and St. Philip, the East Point Lighthouse, and you can see all across the Concept Bay in St. John, which is another fishing village. I was stopped by the grave of David Thompson, who was Barbados' 6th Prime Minister. David John Howard Thompson, Barbados' 6th Prime Minister, who served briefly as Prime Minister from 2008 to 2010. David Thompson was born in England on the 25th of December 1961 and died on my birthday, the 23rd of October 2010. David Thompson, rest in peace. He was born in England to a white Barbadian mother and a black Barbadian father, who are still alive. The mother is 94 now, and the father is 90-something too. I think he's still living too. So yes, David Thompson was also the parliamentary representative for St. John for 23 years, up until his death. He served St. John in 1987 after Arabara passed away. So he was the 5th Prime Minister, succeeded with Arthur. So thank you guys for watching now. Have a blessed evening.